Cool, we are live. Let me just check. Yeah, we are live, and hopefully, there is not going to be a disconnect this time. Yesterday, around half a mark, everything just went off for some reason. Anyways, today we are going to be looking into Astro 3. I will continue about this thing, Next.js app, maybe by tomorrow or something. But yes, um, I just wanted to look into it because it came out like 2 days ago, and a lot of people are looking into it. So here we are. Again, I have never looked into Astro, to be honest, and it will be the first time I am going through it. And when I say that, I mean it. In the case of Next.js, I have worked with the Pages router. Here, I have not worked with Astro at all. Like, I don't even know what this is. Cool. So hopefully we can look into it, and I'll just go and do for approximately like 1 hour or something, not more than that. Oh, okay, let's go inside the live streaming and let's start reading about it, because why not? Hmm. So what is Astro? Astro is a all-in-one web framework for building fast content focused websites. Component islands, a new web architecture for building faster websites. Okay, I'm eating chocolate just for the sake of it. Server first API design, move expensive hydration of your users devices. Okay, so it's kind of like an SSR, I hope. Zero JS by default. Okay, edge ready. Okay, customizable, UI agnostic. Hmm. Okay. Yep. I stream after work. Yep. I stream after work. DJ, right? DG. Okay, so create Astro is the fastest way to start a new Astro project from start. You can use an existing template argument from the GitHub. Okay, I have done this only. This will create the Astro anywhere in your machine. So there's no need to create a new empty directory for your project before you begin. Yeah, it's a same thing. If all goes well, you'll be left off confirmed. Explore your project. Hmm. Okay. But like, should I start with the manual one or should I like go with one of the templates? Let's see. It says include sample files, use blog, or should I just do it as like an empty? Uh, okay. Okay. Yeah, let's start with empty or include sample files. Okay, let's go with this only. Yeah, sure. The CLI tool is quite good. I mean, like, yeah, yeah, I want to write it. Strict, yes. Learn in public. Astro. Let's open the VS Code. Yeah, let's see. We have all of this. Yes, install it. I think it's from install. And thankfully they have this .env already, so I don't have to worry about that. Uh, what else? Public file src has like pages. Okay, this is Astro. This is layout. Hmm. Sorry. And this is card. Okay, the syntax is a little bit unfamiliar. I won't say weird, but if things are unfamiliar, it becomes a quite like a headache. But yeah, fair enough. Nothing is like bad. Let's see. Um, Welcome to Astro. Everything between these triple dashes. Okay. Code fences. Code fences. Is your component front matter? It never runs in the browser. Okay. And below is your component template. It's just HTML, but with some magic sprinkled in to help you build great templates. Okay, so let's delete this as well. I should not have done anything like this. Importing is happening on the server itself, not on the client, and whatever this is basically everything on the client, right? This console.log, this is server log, and okay, I have to provide sort of like this. If I do this, No, it's not working. The emmet is not working for some reason. How to set up the emmet here? Let's see. Astro VS Code setup emmet. How to enable emmet? Necessary cookies. Emmet include language. Astro. Okay. Let's see. Settings. Emmet. Include language. Astro. HTML. Things like that. And yeah. Okay. Cool. It works. This can be learning Astro 3.0, learning in public. And since this is a body, Astro home page. Cool. Run dev. Astro collects completely anonymous usage data to opt out. Yeah, take it. Like, it's not like I have anything. 4321. 4321. And this is the Astro homepage. This is the server log. This is served, and this is 404 because it is not being served. Uh, Fair enough. Where did we have this favicon? In this public. Okay. So in this page's intro, not here, in the layout itself. So we had this. Okay. Okay. Props is title. What about here? This is title. And whatever we are passing here is basically, I believe, that slot, whatever that slot is. So head goes like this goes like this. Let's see what we have. Head goes like this. We are doing this UTF. We are passing the like this. Okay, so meta description, I can just copy paste this right here, and then viewport is fine. I should use this. We'll see what these are, but for now let's just simply use them. Link goes right here and this goes right here. We can look at like so, right? And title becomes, well, whatever the title we have passed. Cool. And here above it is talking about this title from the Astro props, okay, which is being done on the server itself. So like this, and this is the props like so. This rather than being a page, can be like, say, layout, and within that I can have root layout. Let's just call it layout itself, and Astro, we will have like this. What is the situation of layout Astro? Okay, I have to copy paste this into this, and here I'll just put the slot. Fair enough. And then here I can hopefully put layout. Okay. Huh. Astro 3.0, learning in public, and whatever goes inside here, which, let's say, uh, from the home page inside the layout, this should become, yep, that's how it is happening. Okay, so it is like I'm getting the hang of it. First thing first, the first observation or first thing is based on that sample page is anything that goes between these two, between these three dash dash dash, resides on the server itself, which means that this page, if I inspect it, network tab, and simply reload it, there is this local host, there is this uh, HMR and client. We'll see what it is. Okay, this is all, and then there's a WebSocket, there's a local host, and this local host is basically everything that you like. It's just a body, it's just HTML page. And what about this thing? uh, this interface props is basically TypeScript. So when I say astro.props, unless I don't have this, it won't be able to get this, I believe, the title. And this kind of like becomes a props for this, and whatever this slot is, it's kind of like a, in Angular we have outlet or router outlet, like in React router we also have now outlet, things like that. So it's for the slot, I believe. Okay, so dot astro is one of the templating engine, I guess. And let's see, if it is like agnostic of the templating engine, maybe I can replace it with anything, right? So, and we can also have this styling directly, static asset. Okay, in your text editor, create a file. Yeah, this is we don't have to worry about that. uh, Define config. Astro is configured using this. This file is optional if you do not need to configure Astro, but you may wish to create it now. Create astro.config.mjs at the root of your project and copy the code below into it. I think since I use the template, it's already there, right? Yeah, it's already there. Let's see what this is all about. Come on, open. Oh, it's from here. Hmm. 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 Okay, this is something that I would like to do, this party down thing using GTM, because in any real world project, analytics is going to be a part and parcel of your so-called page, and it's always the third party scripts that completely destroy your web performance. Hmm. Okay, this much is done. I'll look into it, like what everything is all about, like how to maintain the React and all of that. Let's just start with this, what it is. So why Astro? Astro is all-in-one web framework for building fast, content-focused websites. Why choose Astro over another web framework? Here are the 5 core design principles to help explain why we built Astro, the problems that it exists to solve, and why Astro may be the best choice for your project or your team. One is content focused, then server first, then fast by default, then easy to use, fully featured but flexible. Okay, content focused. Astro was designed for building content rich websites. This include most marketing websites, okay, publishing sites, documentation sites, blogs, portfolios, and some e-commerce sites. Okay, okay. By contrast, most modern web frameworks are designed for building web applications. These frameworks work best for building more complex applications like experiences in the browser, logged in admin dashboards, inboxes, social networks, to-do list, and even native like application like Figma and Ping. Ping, I believe, is Ping GG. Yeah. This is one of the most important differences to understand about Astro. Astro's unique focused on content lets Astro make trade-offs and deliver unmatched performance features that wouldn't make sense for more application-focused web framework to implement. Okay, so basically they're saying that we are focused on the websites side of the things rather than the web applications, which means if you have less interactivity in your so-called website, which is at least 60-70% of the sites anyways, you can use Astro because it is content focused rather than using the React, Angular, and other so-called JavaScript frameworks, which are primarily built in order to make applications in web to be highly responsive or highly interactive, right? If all you have is things like this, like where everything is like a content and a bunch of link, why not use Astro by default rather than supplying JavaScript using either any of the frameworks which is based on React or whatever, right? So that's what they are talking about. And I'm pretty sure if I just go here and do this lighthouse, it will be extremely quick. Yep, it's extremely quick. Everything is like great. And what will happen if you simply, okay, so it's trying to find this robots.txt as well. So maybe I should be doing that, right? I should be doing that anyways. Where it is. this installation, there was this manual setup. There was, I believe, robot.txt is not here for some reason. Why? Okay, robots.txt, txt, cool. Uh, and simply copy paste this right here, and this should do it. In package JSON, we have dev and then we have build. Okay, let's build it. I want to see how much JS we have. Okay, now let's start. Go back here, go back here, inspection. I will just move it like so. Now in the console network, refresh. We still have JS somehow, and that's approximately 113 KB, which is still good. If I do it like slow 3G, yeah, it will still take approximately 10 seconds or 11 seconds in slow 3G, and in fast 3G, by the way, this has nothing, it's just one page. It will take approximately 3.2 seconds. Okay, but I think this is a little bit better for now, at least, right? Let's measure the performance load. Yeah, it's way better. It's kind of like a better version. Anyways, till this point, there's nothing there. So initially, there is a load of approximately 113, 115 KB of JS, and the rest is just the static HTML. Okay, let's move on. Server first. Astro leverages server-side rendering over client-side rendering as much as possible. This is the same approach as traditional PHP, Ruby, Laravel, WordPress, yeah, have been using for decades, but you don't need to learn second server language to unlock it. With Astro, everything is still just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or TypeScript if you prefer. Okay, this approach stands in contrast to modern JavaScript frameworks like Next, Svelte, Nuxt, god damn it, Remix, and others. These frameworks require client-side rendering of your entire website and include server-side rendering mainly to address the performance concerns. This approach has been duped as single-page application in contrast with Astro's multi-page application MP approach. Okay, but isn't like Next.js does the same thing in a way. Remix too. Haven't used Svelte, haven't used Nuxt. The SPM model has its benefit. However, these come at the expense of additional complexity and performance trade-offs. Yes, understood. Like, again, I will just show you guys one more time calendar thing. This is the funny part. Yeah, the Chrome actually does not have any extension except this integration module IDM, which I can just simply remove as well, because it's only for this particular browser for live streaming or any development because of its tooling. My primary browser is Brave, so that is where all the extensions are. Yeah, where was I? Yes, this particular text, this particular link, this is something that calendar performance perfplanet.com, you can go there. There's a mobile performance of Next.js sites, and the reason why I'm looking into it is because it says the SPA model has its benefit. However, these come at the expense of additional complexity and performance trade-offs. Here's a performance trade-off. Okay, in any e-commerce or large e-commerce site built with Next, while what you basically have, any business sites has a bunch of third-party analytics. Okay, observability, client side A/B testing, and all of that thing. What happens is the first load JS in Next.js for most typical application goes above at least 200 KB, at least 250 KB. And when I say that, so basically, if I have to just showcase you guys what I mean, if I just go here and this is learning in public and learning in public Next.js app, and here as we can see somewhere like uh, in this src folder we have app, and here we have say pages. So this is all the page it is all about. Okay, now if we look here, we'll find, if I just simply build it, this is just building one application, the Next.js application. The thing that should be looked here is once it's built, I'll just let you know. See this first load JS shared by all. This is the part and parcel of Next.js. So for the app router, it's 74. Let's call it 79 KB, and let's call this as 76 KB. Okay. Now, if you're using this, that means this particular KB will be included in pretty much every route. Even if it means this API hello has 0 bytes, I mean this blog ID has say 141 byte only, still this will be the actual first load JS for this, right? So when you visit this route, this is the amount of JS that you're actually downloading. Even though your page has like only 5 KB or something, it will become 83. Now, in typical application, what happens is this particular 78.4 KB, or for most part right now, most production app are running in pages router. So let's say 76.3 KB. This is above 250 or 300 KB. Why? Because you have to include some sort of like a provider. Let's say you are using auth0. So auth0 provider has to go inside this underscore app. Then you have, let's say, Apollo client, because God forbid you are using GraphQL, because you are using, let's say, some sort of like a CMS, let's say Sanity. Okay, so that provider. Then you have, say, Material UI, another provider. Then you have a bunch of those things. And then on top of that, on the same page itself, on the same app, JS itself, you also have analytics scripting, like GTM script, say other Facebook pixel and whatever. Or you just have a one GTM script and that is loading from behind the scene from its dashboard, all the bunch of other script like Facebook, LinkedIn, and all of that. And then you have a bunch of components as well, like let's say Redux toolkit. So that is stored provider has to be there. So you have so many things. So what end up happening in any big project is this becomes not green, it becomes red. And technically speaking, it becomes bad. I think I have one thing. Can I showcase that? If I go to projects, yeah, Next.js, do we have Next store? Yeah, we can build this, right? Let's see. See, I'm also trying to use like Party Town and God knows whatever in order to offshore the third-party script. It is still not working. I'm not able to figure it out, but let's look into that. Yes, and that is excluding the document file of the page, where, by the way, there's even more script that you can actually add, because sometimes what happens is that you have to add like based on whoever has implemented this stupid library of theirs, you have to add things in both. See, right now it is like 129 KB, right? In my office project, it's basically 250 or something KB first load, and then all of these become red. Right here, this is the only thing that is going warning. In actual production, all of them become red, and that's where the nightmare starts, and you cannot do anything about it. But the only person who will be blamed, or only team that will be blamed for the performance issue, is not the marketing team, it's not the project team who decided that all of those 10 different analytics tools that you have to add, but your team. And they don't understand why this is the case. Okay, so this is where we are. I cannot tell because of certain reasons where I work, but I do work in one of these software company in Bangalore. I think I have to like ask them, but yeah. So this is great. Then in that sense, it's just 113 KB for now. We'll look into it, like what can be done later. Maybe it will increase if I just start building things up, right? As for this particular documentation, see this particular chart. In my last video, which I included after going out of live for some reason because of some shortcut in the OBS and started recording, I explained this in a very brief manner. You can just go and check that out. What you'll find here is that everything in this whole thing, see, 27 sites are the only one which are passing the web core vitals, which is bad in mobile out of 110 sites, and 80 are failing. And here's a bad metric thing. This is done in December 2022. In that case, LCP, FID, and CLS were the only core web vitals. March 2024, Google will be making INP the one of the core web vitals, and this FID won't, like, it will be replaced by the INP. And then what will happen is, if you look here, wherever this is actually passing, this is failing, right? Some or the other is failing. And eventually, if you go through this entire list, you will you just like do a mapping scenario. You'll find that this number comes down to approximately 3, which is even worse, right? This is Next.js staged. Okay, so that was just a little bit sideway around performance again. This is funny. I also work in Bangalore. Yeah, let's you can connect with me on Twitter. I can tell you there on DM where I work. You can also have tell me where you work. Maybe we might even know each other. Who knows? Right? Okay. This approach stands in contrast to other modern JavaScript web framework like Next and all of that. Okay. These trade-off harm page performance, including critical metrics like time to interactive TTI. Okay, which doesn't make much sense for content-focused website where first load app performance is essential. Yes. So see, in content-focused website, you need your users to actually browse through your content without logging in, right? So you are not going to make your site behind the auth like that auth wall, right? Authentication or authorization wall. As you can see, I'm browsing this Astro documentation. There's no login system because it doesn't want that, right? Everybody can just do that. So in that sense, there's no reason why you cannot use things like PHP, Astro, or whatever. SSR, pure SSR. Okay, fast by default. Good performance is always important, but it is especially critical for content-focused websites. It has been well proven that poor performance loses you engagement, conversions, and money. For example, every 100 ms faster is 1% more conversion. Okay, these are all like the US companies, I believe. So 50% faster, 12% more sales, 20% faster, 10% more sales, conversions. Conversions are basically your like how many people or user base are converted to a lead, or so called in marketing terms, it means how many like browsing users converted into a lead or became your customer. Okay, 850 ms faster, 7% more conversion, every 1 second slower, 10% fewer users. Now here's a website called web.dev. Here is something called case study. See, this is, if you are in India, you can look there and you'll find there's a thing called how Redbus improved their website interaction to Next Paint INP, which is a new metrics, and increased their sales by 7%, which is, should be reading it. And they did it inside, I think, Next.js. And then Economic Times has quest for fixing things. So they brought down their TBT, time to first, I think it's total blocking time, by 30 times, and migrating to Next.js helped the economic times reduce INP clearly 4 times, 50% decrease in bounce rate, and 43% uplift in page views, right? Again, this is the case study from Japan. There are a bunch of case studies. You can just go and look into it. Fine. In many web frameworks, it is easy to build a website that looks great during development, only to load painfully slow once deployed. True. JavaScript is often the culprit. True. Since users' phones and lower powered devices rarely match the speed of developers' laptop. Now, here's the funny part. That line, this has to be like told every time. Okay, so we talked about this, right? Yesterday we talked about this, but there's a reason for that. Okay, so in real world, the universe, by the way, works under the laws or follows the laws of physics. Okay, your computer or your mobile cannot work outside of the laws of physics, just like your body. So basically, the laptop that we use as developers for the most part are very powerful, and especially if you are using like modern day Mac, and most companies provide you Mac in order to develop, right? And even the mobile that most developers use is either high-end Android devices or mid-end Android devices with at least 5G connection or something, depending on where you are, or 4G for sure, and or iPhone, right? And what all of these state is, we are quite like limited. We become narrow vision in terms of how the real world operates. Okay, what do I mean by that? So when I tested this thing in fast 3G throttle mode, where I said key, do not throttle anything in terms of CPU. Let's slow it down. Let's make it like slow 3G. Let's again do it. Notice this 0.63 LCP. I will load it. Everything is like bare minimum in terms of whatever the throttling I can do as per the browser. Okay. It becomes 2.51 seconds. That means if your network speed is slow, let's do not throttle it again, just to check whether it's only for the network speed or what. It's 2 point something seconds from 0.6 seconds. Okay, that LCP. Now it's, even though it says it's it's green because it is below 2.5 seconds, but it is still bad when compared to 0.6 seconds. Okay, and if I just do this as like fast and 6x slow of the CPU, so in fast it became 0.6 seconds. Maybe it will come to around 0.6 seconds again, but as you can see, it still went above 1 second, right? So that 500 milliseconds is still above. And here you saw every 100 ms faster, 1% more conversion, right? That means we just lost somewhere around like what? We became 500 ms slower. So you can do the maths here. And the problem here is that even these things, right? This is not the real world scenario, because even this lighthouse, if I go here, right, this is not the real world scenario. Okay, this is mimicking what you call some sort of like a Moto 4G device or whatever, right? And then using some sort of like throttling things. The problem with all of these is our laptop. Okay, let's start looking into this. This is a little bit of a hardware situation related to physics. So what happens is that laptop have, I mean, for the most part, the more power you have, the more heat your device will produce. That's number one. And the more heat it produces, the slower it becomes. Okay, So what laptops and desktop have is something called thermals. Fair enough. These thermals, depending on how the combination is, for most part, let's say by default, they are able to dissipate approximately 60 watt power every, I think something like that, 60 watt power they can actually dissipate. So that means 60 watt worth of heat. If you just do the heat equivalent, you can find that that is being dissipated every second. Now in India, you can actually find very commonly this thing uh, during the month of March, I think starting from April to July, September or something. If you are in North India, what you'll find is that, and if you do not have AC, what you'll find is that your laptop starts becoming extremely hot. And the more hot it becomes, the slower its performance starts getting becoming, right? And the moment you have this laptop stand, well, it starts cooling down because the heat is being dissipated from the bottom, and the cooler it becomes, it starts getting faster. And if you have AC, it works quite well. Fine. So that means there's a situation in real life, thanks to physics, that the hotter your device is, the slower it gets. Now laptops are capable of, and especially laptops, and if you are in desktop, then you have like a thermal like nitro cooling and all of that. So these are capable of somewhere around 60 watts to 100 watts or something like that power dissipation capacity, right? Now this 60 watt power dissipation means this is equivalent to somewhere around, like it can light what, your bulb. So that much heat it has. Now if you try to touch any bulb, the old bulb which was like yellow in light, your hands will burn. That means your mobile devices, for the most part, I mean for 100% of the part, cannot dissipate, like they cannot release that much heat to cool themselves. Okay, which means in terms of performance, they're quite crap. And not to mention, this thing is very bad in terms of like it's not a real world indicator, to put simply. The more better your laptop is, this score will be like very very great. Okay, this will be near imperfect even if you do all sort of like throttling. But the mobile devices are limited by the physics itself. And then what happens is that your real, when you test everything out and everything is working perfectly, but the moment it goes to the real world, you find that the market is not filled with iPhone, right? Market is not filled with iPhones and Samsung Galaxy, right? They're not filled with that. They are filled with mobile devices which costs less than 10,000 INR in India, right? So that's your market, and 10,000 will be in USD $120, but you can say in terms of like the difference in terms of like income and all of that, let's call it 200 USD if you are outside of India. Okay, and depending on what your market is, that's the segment that for the most part you will be targeting. If your product is, let's say, less than 500 per day or 500 subscription per month, then you are targeting that market segment, because yes, they can buy that for a month, but they cannot afford, or they don't want to even afford above that range phones. So, and the battery of these are for most part 15 watts, up to 15 watts. That means your thermals are capable of like what, they can actually power somewhere around 4 of them, just for the sake of heat dissipation, right? But I'm saying that your entire phone is running on, let's say, 10 watts or 15 watts of power, which means that include screen, uh, what else, background application, apps, notifications, calling, all sorts of things, right? This is bad. Like, this is a completely different landscape where you are trying to build certain things. Yeah, we are not cut off at least. So, and let's see, are we cut off? No, we are not cut off. So this is what we are dealing with when we are talking about the mobile performance, and in that case JavaScript just simply kills. So I believe that's what the Astro is trying to solve. You don't ship JavaScript at all. For the most sites you don't require it, right? Unless you're building something like Draw, this cannot be done using Astro. This has to be done using React or some sort of Angular or Vue, right? Heavy dependency on JavaScript. But then this is a very specific app where the people who are using it know that they're coming here and will use it eventually because it solves some great problem. This is not Amazon or Flipkart or your site where you're selling some product, right? It is an application which is deployed on the web. So people who know it and love it will use it. They don't care about it if it is taking a little bit, say 3-4 seconds to load. And most people who will be using it on the desktop, and they will have great internet. So that solves the purpose in the first place, right? So this is what we are like looking into. So in that scenario I understand what these people are trying to solve. And yeah, if you have less JavaScript, then you can load faster, which is pretty much the norm. It's a no-brainer. Okay, so that's their goal. It should be nearly impossible to build a slow website with Astro. So my goal should be, if I'm learning it, to try to build as heavy as a website as possible to make it as slow as possible, right? And if I fail, they succeed, and that should be it. But don't take our word for it. Watch Astro's performance. Leave Ryan Carniato, creator of SolidJS, and Marco speechless. Okay, this is YouTube. I'll watch it later. Easy to use. Astro's goal is to be accessible to every developer. Astro was designed to feel familiar and approachable regardless of skill level or past experience with web development. We started by making sure that you could use any favorite UI component language that you already know: React, Svelte, Vue, Solid, Lit, and several others are all supported for creating new UI components in the Astro project. We also wanted to make sure that Astro had a great built-in component language as well. To do that, we created our own Astro UI language. Okay, so that's a built-in language, but it also supports React as well. And I want to try what happens if I use React rather than the Astro. And then does it still maintain this claim, right? Because I mean, then there's no reason why I cannot use Laravel and Handlebar, a mustache template language, right? It is when I can combine this to this and still get the performance like this, then it becomes like good, at least for me. But it also combines some of your favorite features borrowed from other components like JSX expressions and CSS scoping by default. Okay, this closeness to HTML also makes it easier to use progressive enhancement, okay, and common accessibility patterns without any overhead. Okay, if .astro can actually provide me all of that, then maybe I don't even need it, right? Let's set up this tailwind first. I want to see how it actually works in this framework guide. Do we have Astro? Come on. Yeah, we have Astro. Wow. Wait, is it raining? Yeah, it seems it started raining here in Bangalore. Yeah, just continue. Let's see. Okay, array. This is like CGS. Man, I hate this MGS and CGS scenario. I just don't like it. Like, this is. Anyways, I don't like want to go into that direction right now. I just want to see what will happen if I say, uh, can I load it? Yes, I can do that. So, font bold, that's one. And then if I, my food delivery is getting delayed because of the rain. Man, this Bangalore is like this. Like, it could be like a complete sunshine, and you think everything is fine, and all of a sudden there's a rain. Cool. It is back. So it is working. It is working fine. One of our favorites sayings is opt into complexity. We design Astro to remove as much as required complexity as possible from the developer experience, especially as you onboard for the first time. You can say, you can build a hello world example with website and Astro and just HTML and CSS. Then as you need to build something more powerful, you can incrementally reach for the new features and API as you go. You know what? I want to try how to actually do the GTM script here as well. Fully featured but flexible, Astro is an all-in-one web framework that comes with everything you need to build a website. Astro includes a component syntax, file-based routing, asset handling and build process, bundling, optimizations, data fetching, and more. I found the component syntax right here, which we just saw, where the server and client get separated. File-based routing is something that, okay, if it's a file-based routing, then what will happen if I have about, and then there inside that I have index.astro, and then I have uh should I just use like layout? Shouldn't it work? Yeah, there's a problem there. No, don't know. What else is there? Okay. Wow. So this is my prop, and these are all the prop which is available by default. We'll have to see what these are. Title can be about page, right? And this can be for Excel font bold about page. And if I have like this, go back to home page, here I can say BG slate 95, maybe let's go with the gray 950 text gray 50, padding as 4 and py as 2, make it rounded as MD, right? And here maybe I should do this, can be about, go to about page, let's go back, Hmm. Can I have like class here? What will happen if I have this, then this, then gap of 4, then items of center and justify of center? Will this make sense? Okay. Hmm. Don't understand where this is. Okay, I have to see this later. For now, what I'll do now, I'll just copy this from here and create a, let's say, a section, and we'll paste it right here. We'll make it like this, and we'll do the same with the index page as well. Let's see. So if I go to about page, it is about page. Now it is home page, but this is like loading completely. It is not like one, it is loading everything. So if I just make it slow and do this, so this is loading the about page. And if I go back, this is again loading the page. Cool. So right now there's no such thing as like I don't know, maybe we cannot use global state management like we use on the client end, because anytime this loads, things will load, right? Okay, but the pages thing, uh, file based routing, for now a very easy one. It is done file based, right? Anything inside the pages will have like folder can be actually the route. Fair enough. Then we have asset handling, build process, bundling, optimization, data fetching, and more. Okay. You can build great website without ever reaching outside of Astro's core feature set. Okay. If you need more control, you can extend Astro with over 100 plus integration like React, Svelte, MDX, Tailwind CSS. So we already did the Tailwind CSS. Connect your favorites CMS. Okay, or deploy to your favorite host. Astro Sanity. Okay, we have the Sanity one, which is cool. How about the React? So Astro React is here. Astro React is also here. So reactive form and all of that. Okay, we use Astro add. Okay, did I do something wrong here? No, thankfully no. But anytime in future I can use n Astro add, and then I can do this. Okay. Okay. You import it here, and then to use first React component in Astro, head to your fav or UI framework documentation. This is like cool, but it is extremely complex for any like if you want to have a maintainable app for a long time, I think it becomes complex, because if you have used like multiple of them, then any new developers who will be coming into your so-called project or will be taking care of it in future will have to know pretty much all of those technologies, which is not the case right now. If a person knows, let's say, Next.js or React, then most likely they'll just go ahead with the Next.js or Remix and be done with it, because they can actually build a lot of great website. And they, if you are a little bit deep into it, you can also come up with a better performance solutions anyways, right? This is just doing the things for you based on its architecture, which is island architecture, I believe, right? So you can have like a UI framework, you can have a SSR adapters, okay, and others as well. Party down. This is something that I might need. There's also sitemap, which is, I think it's going to be great. Okay, let's see what this is. Astro Islands, aka Component Islands, are a pattern of web architecture pioneered by Astro. The idea of islands architecture was first coined by Etsy's front-end architect, Katie Seiler Miller. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. In 2019, and expanded on this in this post by creator Jason Miller. Okay, what is an Astro Island? The term Astro Island refers to an interactive UI component on an otherwise static page of HTML. Multiple islands can exist on a page, and an island always renders in isolation. Think of them as islands in a sea of static, non-interactive HTML. Okay, so the Next.js or the current React server component and client component, as we saw while we were learning, I mean, we are still learning the Next.js app router, but the React server component, I think, does the similar thing, right? Where the server component are completely static, and the client component, as per the RSC, are what you can actually, thanks to the partial hydration, which is possible now, is basically the only thing that will be interactive. So this thing is something that I'm pretty sure we can achieve using the app router. At least in theory, we should be able to achieve that, except that that initial 678 KB of worth of JS that will be shipped. But even here, after the build process itself, 113 KB of JS is being shipped, right? So I don't like, maybe it is better in some other ways, but if the Next is moving towards that, and the React ecosystem is moving towards that RSC, maybe it's even like it will be able to compete with the Astro, is my opinion. And because it has more people involved in it, nobody will know, most developers will not be actually leaving it, right? And Next.js is very great framework for building large applications anyways. So in Astro, you can use any supported UI framework to render islands in the browser. You can mix and match different frameworks on the same page, or just pick your favorite. This I don't think you should be doing. This is something that most people should be doing or will do. This is a recipe for disaster, especially if your app is quite big. And I mean, you cannot expect each and every developer to know each and every technology, right? Somebody is like good at React, some Svelte, some Vue, and they most of a time, most often, they don't actually like each other's technology anyways. Like, it's an ideology rather than technology at this point for most part. The technique that this architectural pattern builds on is known as partial or selective hydration. Astro leverages this. Yes, partial and selective hydration is exactly what the RSC introduced as well. So technically speaking, I don't see why people will be jumping towards this and not on the new architecture of Next.js app router. And I'm pretty sure that the remix will be coming around the same in very near future, and I'm pretty sure that React itself will be releasing itself in a same manner. Thing is, I now understand why React actually moved with that uh, partnership with the Next.js and Remix and all of these frameworks, because to implement RSC, you kind of like a need a little bit more setup. Maybe React will be doing it out of the box in future, but right now with Next.js is already like very good, and then you will be having like Remix. So I don't see why people will be using Astro in that sense. And what exact problem now, in a manner, right now, what exactly is it that Astro solves in a unique manner? When it came, it must be unique, but then I think React just catched up to it. How do islands work in Astro? Astro generates every website with zero client-side JavaScript by default. Like I just saw it, it was not, at least 113 KB of JS was being shipped even after I built it. So I don't see how that is zero thing. If I, right, even though it says here, but at least in that browser itself it loads, right? That, so I don't see how it is like 0 0. So if I again build it, right, there is nothing here which says there's any JavaScript. Okay, and but if I start it, wait a minute, why it is saying Astro Dev? Let's see. Okay, maybe I should do Astro Preview. Right, I should be doing Astro Preview. Okay, Astro Preview rather than start. Then remove it now. What's the point of this start? Cool. The entire thing loaded at 2.05 seconds, finished by 6 seconds. Resource transfer is also very low, and there is no JavaScript. And this is 1.9 KB. Okay, there is like, where is all of that styling coming from? Huh, okay, got it. Got it. So this is like what? Uh, its size is 1.9 KB. Go back here. 1.9 KB. Cool. So this is quite good. Now I understand what it meant. Okay. This keeps every site fast by default by removing all the unused JavaScript from the page. Okay. Use a front-end UI component built with React and any of that. Astro will automatically render it to HTML ahead of time and then strip out all of the JavaScript. This keeps every site fast by default by removing all unused JavaScript from the page. Okay, let's see that then. we will go to this React. We will close this out. I'll add, I'll say Astro add React. I will add Astro React, and let's add it. Yes, add everything. Yeah, do it. Yes, do it. Fair enough. We are doing like import things and all of that. Then maybe in this thing, if I have say contact, no, I want to see what happens if I have like JSX. Is that how it will work? And here, will it be about page? How will it be? Wait a minute. I needed that, this thing. Will I have to like revert everything to, okay, I am going to get this. Then here I will go it like this. This should be class name now. And then it will be like, oh, okay, it will be like title. It will be about React page, and I will call this as link. Okay, this is fine. For that I need React router, but let it be right now. What will happen if I have a button, right? Click me, and here I will say on click, and I will add one JavaScript code which will be simply alert. I ran. Cool. And let's export this. Cool. Now let's see how this will work. Will it even work or not? Build, building client, fair enough. It kind of like built. So there is a way that you can actually import this Astro from here. You can utilize the props in this JSX and all of that. And but in the dist folder, there's a client now. Static routes, building clients, review, load it again. So we have like all of this as 30, what? Load is like 3332 ms and all of that. And if I go to this about page, yeah, it is not found. So I might have done something wrong here for sure, but it is not like that intuitive. You can just have this and then start doing all the shenanigans. There has to be some sort of like a way that you can actually set it up. Manually, we are not doing it. Now getting started. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Okay. But like, Use your JavaScript framework components in your Astro pages, layouts, and components less like Astro component. All your components can live together in SRC components or can be organized in any way you like. You to use a framework component, import it from its relative part in your Astro component script. Then use the component alongside other components. What if I don't want to import it? Like this is a standalone thing and I'm doing the import of this Astro component inside my JSX component because it's a layout thing, right? And then I assumed that it should work. The reverse basically should work. And rather than like this. What exactly is it? It just did not found anything. Maybe in develop mode I will be able to understand what is happening. Yeah, it is not founding anything, right? So like what's, I think I'm doing something wrong here, not able to understand why this is happening. This is a meme. We'll look into that as well later. uh, but right now this is like a hydrating interactive component. A framework component can be made interactive hydrated using a client directive. These are component attributes that determine when your component's JavaScript should be sent to the browser. Fair enough. So client idle, client load, something like that. Yeah, visible only will render on the client when the page loads. Okay. Uh, nested framework component. Can I use Astro component inside my framework component? Any UI framework component becomes an island of that framework. These components must be written entirely as valid code for that framework. So okay, what's exactly what I'm doing wrong. Only using only its own important packages. You cannot import Astro component in a UI framework. Example JS. Okay, you can however use Astro slot pattern to pass static content generated by the Astro component as children to your framework component inside the Astro component. So okay, this is the my Astro component, my React component, and then whatever the slot is. Okay, so I cannot use this. So technically that means I have to remove this, right? And I have to remove this as well. And now if I simply go back and reload it, still not found anything. So what next? Like using framework component, hydrating interactive component. Nesting framework component, passing children to framework component, passing props to framework components, missing framework. I think there's a problem here that I cannot have the standalone JSX. Is it? I have to have a Astro file, and within that I have to import that whatever the component is. So if I have something called index.astro, and then I have uh, sorry, and then I have this about this page uh, about from index like this, and maybe I should just rename it to about.jsx, right? Yeah, okay. Then maybe if I have this layout where I have the title as about page, and then the slot can be this about component, and maybe this will work. Yep, this works, but nothing happens here. Like, this is just an HTML page, I believe. So that means if I want like hydration, right? So there are several, there are many, I cannot pronounce several. There are several hydration directives available for UI framework components: client load, client idle, client visible, client media, and client only framework. Okay. See a directive reference. Okay. Now, if I go to this client load, these directives control how UI framework components are hydrated on the page. By default, a UI framework component is not hydrated in the client. Okay. That means if I have a JavaScript like click one, so it is not going to work. If no client directive is provided, its HTML is rendered onto the page without JavaScript. Yes, understood. Just saw that right here. Nothing is happening. And also I just want, I just cannot do that. Yeah, I have to put some styling right here. I just have to, and I want this to be a little bit like purple. Not that it will make much sense, but here we are. Okay, so a client directive can only be used on a UI framework component that is directly imported into an Astro component. Hydration directives are not supported when using dynamic tags and custom components passed via the component prop. Okay, I didn't understand what this meant, but let's see. Immediately visible UI element that need to be interactive as soon as possible. Lower priority UI elements that don't need to be immediately interactive. Okay. Buy button. Heavy image carousel. Low priority UI element that are either far down the page, below the fold. Below the fold typically means below the viewport, the first load, or so resource intensive to load that you would prefer not to load them at all if the user never saw the element. Okay. Large images, carousel images, which are not your first viewport, load. Okay. Load and hydrate the component JavaScript once the component has entered the user's viewport. Yes. This uses an intersection observer internally to keep track of visibility. It's a media side by toggle or other element that might only be visible on certain screens. Okay. Cool. Then there's an only skips HTML server rendering and renders only on the client. It acts similar to client load in that it loads, renders, and hydrates the component immediately on the page load. You must pass the component's correct framework as value, because Astro doesn't run the component during your build on the server. Astro doesn't know what frameworks your component uses unless you tell it explicitly. So what's the difference? Let's start with this. Here in this thing, like this, like here, I have to pass client as load, right? And then this will work. and then all of this chunk will also start like coming up, like React and everything, which is like bad in a way. This chunk is like this much. So what will happen if I have like only client only, and this should be React. Go back. Okay, now come back here. So it's still 1.2 MB. It is working. Now, typically, if I now run this, cool. So this is how you have to actually go about and do the things. If I go back to this, refresh it, only 3 pages, which is better. Here we will get somewhere around like how much JavaScript we have. 52.1 KB. Okay. About we have like about.js, we have like client.js, and we have like index. Okay, and this will work. So maybe what most people will do is that rather than building this whole thing as this, maybe if I can just do this, right, and go back here, and then here I simply remove this and remove this. Cool. Then this becomes my so-called island, and here I can just first close this, right, and then here I will say now export the entire thing and now make it client only as React. Fair enough. And then this is the only JavaScript that will be served. So right now if the JavaScript is like what, 44, 45, 48, 49, let's assume it's 49 or something, 48.1 or something. Fair enough. Let's build this entire thing again. Now let's like preview it again, reload it. It's still the same now. Like something should have been a little bit like less, or is it like this is like my JS is so low that this is basically the entire framework first, like the whatever the supporting thing has to happen, and whatever the JS part is so less that it didn't matter that this is what exactly, right? Maybe that is the case, but that's it. I think I'll be just stopping right now and we'll continue this somewhere in future. Most likely, like I'm trying to understand this, and what basically I'll do tomorrow, like I understood kind of like things like in terms of like folder structure. We'll look into these things like later. Now it was like a very tinkering kind of like situation for me, like going back and forth based on whatever the examples they said, whatever I knew about other frameworks, I'm just looking into that. One thing that I can say is that whatever your so-called framework components is other than .astro has to be inside, like imported inside Astro component, Astro file, right? The reverse is not true. You cannot export, you cannot import the Astro component inside your framework or inside your UI library component, right? It will fail. Yes. Tomorrow, I think I can start with this. This will be a wonderful thing about this tutorial and pretty much looking into everything, right? Yeah, this will be good to go tomorrow. Okay, that's it. I should just bookmark this, and cannot, how to actually showcase this? Show bookmark. Yes, this will be it. Okay, and we'll be looking into this Astro SSR with Fred, this K Scott eventually. Okay, bye.